Alpha
Omega.
Adrienne says, I keep seeing UFOs on the regular lately. Any input of what's going on? Wow, there's so much that we could talk about this thing. It's gosh, man, this is the big question.
Mm-hmm.
This is the $1,000,000 question. Which seems to be an enigma wrapped in a riddle, buried in a Russian shell doll.
Yes.
Because suddenly we have all of this UFO evidence released this year, Navy ships and stuff like this. And why? Someone who was in intelligence agencies, Elizardo was his name.
Right. With the 4-part miniseries thing.
The 4-part miniseries that he did. We saw it's quite interesting, unidentified. But why now? What's going on?
And so quickly has there also been Space Force.
Right.
Space Force
out
is
of the
created.
blue. What for?
And all of a sudden we're hearing reports that there are satellites in space being shot down by other satellites with lasers. What?
Yeah,
Things are really...
all I can say for sure is that there is a lot going on that we don't know. And I have the feeling that our government knows a lot more than they're telling us.
And another really important thing to understand.
And the information that we're getting is quite likely 60% information and 40% disinformation.
Or maybe the other way around.
Oh yeah, it could be. But it's a mixture of factual information with deliberate disinformation. Why? With what agenda? I have no idea.
Right. Yeah, that was really important too.
But are these craft physical manifestation of spiritual entities? This is also possible. That you're actually seeing something like invocation to visible appearance.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing a physical manifestation of a spiritual reality, which they talk about these things being interdimensional. I mean, that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
It is obvious to us as magicians that there are creatures there is intelligent life in other dimensions other than our own, that occupy the same space as the space that we occupy.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't see them because they vibrate at a wavelength that is faster or slower than our organs of perception.
Mm-hmm. Another thing to remember is that our government has a habit of playing both sides of the fence. And so while it is very likely that we are not alone in the universe, it is also very likely that our own government could have aircraft that satisfy the conditions that we here on the ground see as a UFO. But in fact, it is actually something that
we would consider
well-known.
marvelous or to us is unidentified.
Right, but to them is simply a top secret aircraft that
very possible.
Are being tested.
Entirely possible. But one thing is for sure. Humanity is concerned about this. It is the big question.
Yes.
At the beginning of the millennium. Is there life beyond the earth? Well, to us as magicians, it's obvious that there is life beyond this dimension, of course beyond the earth as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's physical.
Right.
The way that we understand life. Because we as magicians are in contact with angelic entities, which are also intelligent life forms, highly intelligent life forms, extremely powerful life forms, but that don't have a physical body. And are they extraterrestrial? Or are they extra dimensional? I guess you could say both.
Yes. Yes, easily.
you know? So is it, to me, I wonder sometimes if the whole fascination about the extraterrestrial phenomenon is not merely an effect of having been gaslighted our entire lives about the existence of spiritual entities,
Mhm.
about the existence of spiritual life forms beyond the physical.
Right. We can't talk about fairies and sprites and brownies and elves and gnomes.
Not in this culture.
So we have to talk about Greys and Alteans and Syrians and do you see? Do you see how it's so very much the same thing, just with a different vocabulary once you start peeling away the cultural layers?
Humanity has always been fascinated with this. And as always, as there have been positive forces or spiritual allies of humanity, we have also always had our enemies.
Yes.
And these have included demons and dark chthonic entities, titans,
Right.
and
And now it seems like it's the Borg that's after us because everyone is so desperate to merge with machines. It's just stomach wrenching.
yeah, we're getting all of this merge with machines propaganda, merge with machines,
Mm-mm.
merge with machines. If you'd listen to Elon Musk, you will have one of his brain chips in your head before you die.
Yeah, I'm not going to be a wirehead.
Not me.
Mm-mm.
Let me see if I can get some more questions here while we're on
Right.
this.
Well, and what I remembered what it was that I wanted to say.
Mm.
A very important concept that everyone needs to remember, and it's been true on Earth for a very long time, since before the United States was formed.
Mm-hmm.
The future is not evenly distributed.
Wow.
The future is not evenly distributed. If it was, then how could the Europeans have made such mincemeat of the Indians so quickly? Because the Indians surely would have had gunpowder and rifles and
Mm.
domesticated horses and that level of metallurgy.
Right. You mean technology is not evenly distributed into
Because
the future.
technology is how we talk about the future.
Right.
Exclusively these days. Have you noticed? Exclusively. Future talk is tech talk. And tech is not evenly distributed. It never has been. It has always been a system of manipulation and power and control.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just something to remind you of. This is not new. Not new. That's the emphasis I want to make. This is not new. What is happening to us has happened before on this continent. It will happen again, and it happened before it happened to us.
So, to me, the whole question of extraterrestrials really seems to be a misdirection.
Yes, I agree.
The real question is, how do we communicate with them? That's the big question. You see, this is where the Golden Dawn comes in, and the Hermetic and the Rosicrucian traditions.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have known for many, many centuries that there are demons and how dangerous they are. We have known for millennia that there are angels and how they are the greatest boon to mankind, our greatest ally in times of need. And consequently, the secret initiatic traditions of the world have been working for a long time with contracting these higher entities. And what I'm talking about is something very, very different than what's going on up in Silicon Valley and all of these DMT gurus.
Right.
Meeting the clockwork elves.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, hallucinogens are absolutely superfluous.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need them. You can achieve the same states of consciousness without hallucinogens and safely.
Yes.
DMT, in my opinion, is not a safe entheogen. Even as an entheogen, it's not safe. It brings you straight to the clockwork elves.
Right.
Straight into a very dark, automated dimension.
Yes.
Mechanistic. Into the dimension that, in my opinion, is trying very hard to reach through and take over this one.
Yes.
They're trying to mechanize society. They're trying to mechanize humanity. They're trying to automate everything.
Yes.
And to make humanity superfluous. Guys, wake up. They want to get rid of us. They want to kill us. They want to kill humanity. We're superfluous now. We're being replaced by robots. Who wants to get rid of us? That is the million-dollar question.
Yes, it is.
Who is behind all of these programs of eugenics and terrible things that are being done to humanity with our environment and with our medicines and with our food? It's like we talk about this before. We've talked about all of these things. But the problem is that we are endangered. We, humanity, right now is an endangered species.
Yes.
Which is why you're going to find Leslie and me every single day out there in that hinge, fighting magically for the humanity's survival.
Yes.
And to establish a pro-human future. So contact with other entities, entities of other dimensions, is not necessarily a bad thing, but it is causing a lot of problems today.
Yes.
Really, a lot of them, because it's coming from the wrong dimensions.
Yes.
From the lower dimensions.
Why do you want to reach down into the muck when you could reach up into the clouds? It has never made any sense to me.
It's really up to you. Look, when you're working with entities in other dimensions, interdimensional entities, they change you. They affect you. That's why you want to be working with pure, conscious entities, the highest, most spiritual. That's why the magic of Jesus is so incredibly beautiful.
Yes.
It has changed Leslie and I very much already.
Yes, it really has. And I don't disagree with a single change so far.
Nor do I.
They've all been very nice.
I know. It takes some getting used to. But we're going to fight and continue to fight for humanity's future. It's a tough job. Because it's like trying to turn the Titanic around before an iceberg. But it is possible. And we ask you to join us in your prayers for a pro-human future.
Yes.
Have you ever wanted to gain real magical abilities so you can become the master of your destiny?
Do you wish you could get the ancient secret key for free so you can build the life of your dreams?
If you've wanted more out of life, to become all that you can be, physically, romantically, financially, spiritually, then you need to take action and get this right now.
That's right, and for free, but it won't be available for much longer.
So go right now to thescienceofmiracles.com and get started. Achieve the prosperous life you want for yourself. Gain ultimate life mastery. Susanna says, and it's not possible to ask directly about this important matter to the angels or ascended masters you're in contact with. We as magicians can come in contact with these superior beings and ask them about who or why what is controlling us. Yes, absolutely. Look, it's actually quite clear. And that is that we are in a situation where we have been taught for centuries that magic isn't real, so that a black magic elite of certain families could lord it over the rest of us and keep magic for themselves, and that a priesthood could lord it over the rest of us, whether that was in Christianity or Buddhism, or you see these things all over the place.
Even in Wicca today.
Yeah, it's all over. It's all over. And these entrenched elites, especially at a political level, are a real problem. And the problem is that the leaders of the earth have sold us out. They've sold out humanity for their own personal power. Go take a look at the movie They Live. It's pretty interesting. And think of the extraterrestrials in that movie, instead of being extraterrestrials, as being extra dimensionals. I mean, we have people in Silicon Valley that are taking microdoses of hallucinogens all day long in order to be in contact with the clockwork elf dimension, to keep getting tech coming through, channeling tech all the time. I mean, that's the level that we're at. And these people want to control you. Yes, they do. So we do have an idea. we are invaded by the demonic realms,
Yes.
and they are possessing the leaders of the earth. So there is no real mystery to this. This is what's going on. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, there are plenty of collaborators in humanity who are perfectly willing to sell out the human race for their own personal gain.
Yes. Sad as it is to say, even in the movie Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where you have the Martian mining colony. Remember that one?
Right.
And all of a sudden, the taxi cab driver, he pulls out his deformed hand and says, "Oh no, you can trust me. I'm one of you. You see." And he ends up being the one who sells them out.
Right.
There's lots of places where we see this repeated to us, and we know for a fact that the powers of be enjoy putting things in our faces in the
Right.
movies so that they may
Right.
laugh at us in their free time.
Remember the Battlestar Galactica? Not the one from the fighter pilot one from the 80s and 70s. I mean the dark one that came in the 90s, you know?
Right.
How it started with the betrayal, with Baltar betraying humanity, you know,
Right.
to the Cylons.
Mhm.
Again, a mechanized species, humanity betrayed to the machines.
Right.
Saying over and over and over again. They keep putting it in our faces constantly.
Well, if they're doing that, perhaps we should be paying attention.
And we are. So that's why now is the time to include in your prayers and include in your magic. Magic to help humanity, magic to save humanity, magic for a pro-human future, for human freedom.
To awaken humanity to the truth of technology.
Right. To the danger it poses.
Yes. Yes. The Amish are very hip to the dangers of technology.
It's been a two-edged sword all along. For everything that's good that's come of it, some amazing, wonderful things have come of it. It's been like a Trojan horse with everything. There's always these wonderful cell phones are actually devices to track us.
Right, they're tracking devices. They figured that, it's too obvious if they tag our ears like wildebeest.
You bring Siri into your home, or you bring Amazon's Alexa or one of these things into your home, it spies on you.
Yes. Oh, yes, it'll open the door for you, but is that really that important? Isn't your privacy more important than convenience?
Apparently not, they think.
Not for me.
So, I mean, there's so many things. We could talk about this all day. We could go